You a funny dog. That is so weird. She knew exactly
Exactly what to do.
She's like, oh, they're podcasting again. I'm the star.
We'll move that up.
Little baby, you can sit down, lay down.
There you go.
Good girl. She's like,
Hey. Looking out the window. Knowing her, she'll probably just jump off the table.
right. You want me to set you down? We're going to start this. But that was a good intro.
Yeah. You know, we're just going to keep it all in.
I would keep it in.
Yeah, why not?
We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. All right. It's been how long?
I don't think it's been a whole year, but it's probably been a solid 6 months.
At least 6 months, yeah. I would say
Because there's been,
November-ish, maybe October.
I'd say maybe more like October, probably October.
Yeah, because I think that was when
Because weren't we even talking about doing like a horror movie episode or something?
something like that.
It might have been right around October.
And then things got sort of
all over the place.
yes.
Yeah, no, things have been.
All over the place.
It's been.
And I think it was a nice, necessary break for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's a better return.
Yeah, well, this
it's-
time I like when you brought up because it was what like 4 or 5 days ago when you brought up, hey, we should podcast again.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm
and
like,
then
you
you
know,
also brought it up.
like you know what? Because I mentioned that the one of the guys at work saw like a clip and he thought it was funny and he ended up liking our Instagram that we have. And I was like, oh man! And then I told you, and then a few days later, like, hey, what if we just podcast again? Just
Yeah.
and I was even thinking about because before it was like trying to start a following of this and that. I kind of just want to do this just because it's fun.
Yeah, because I would even say with
No expectations whatsoever.
just while I was showering, but I was thinking, yeah, you know, that's how things are supposed to start. But if you do things out of enjoyment
And
that
authenticity.
yeah, it doesn't really matter who watches, but you know, things like that. And like you said, your coworker, sometimes somebody sees it and they're like, hey. And
You got something,
you know,
but-
anything that blows up, unless you're like, you know, a retired athlete that people know, podcasts and stuff like that, it takes little people noticing once in a while. Not little people, but random people.
Well, they even start following because I have no idea. There's some people that seem to know how to start a following, start a brand almost like instantaneously.
Yeah, and there's
But
I
I
would say
think-
there's an equation.
I
to
think
it,
those ones that figure it out really fast, I think just get lucky. I think
yeah, and they
I-
say this is how I did it.
Yeah.
This is how it helped.
and it's,
Well, you can follow that to a T,
and not work at all.
it's one of those shitty things, and who knows? Who knows if you or I either got it? But it's one of those things you can do everything correctly and watch a million videos how to make something happen. But if you don't got it, it's never going to happen in a way, which is a sad part of the art world, or really anything you do. But I guess to follow up on the fact of like doing the podcast was, I mentioned, wow. No, I think I told you on like Sunday night that I am now off Wednesday, Thursdays.
We have the exact same days.
And I was like, you know, I kind of, maybe we can get some more stuff in. And for me,
at least try and do one a week.
yeah, I mean, we don't have to go, we need to talk about your gallery for sure at some point. But big thing with me, not that it's like anything amazing, but we talked a lot about jobs and balancing stuff. And I've recently became a manager for a different company. And it has just absolutely absorbed me. You know what I mean? Like I hate to say it, but they was like, that was my life. Come home, go to bed, wait to wake up and see what happens again and do it all over. And then I just kind of, I don't know, like a spiritual breath of fresh air that is like, this is not rewarding. I have coworkers, it's a meat department, different company, but several people are kind of, once an artist, always an artist, but fellow ex-artists, that
Yeah.
we're not actively doing that. We're doing this. And, yeah, I just started finding myself turning into what I always said. I don't want to be one of those guys that just come in.
When you realize it.
Yeah, because I care about it and I want to do a good job, and I like my coworkers. I care about the department and things we do. But I'm never. My enjoyment is if I do a special cut or something, or get a new regular customer.
It's the craft.
That I'm like, I love that. If there's this little lady that just wanted some pork fat, and I was able to be like, well, you come back in 3 hours. I'll put this to the side. I'll hold on. She was just so thankful and nice, and I'm like, that feels good. But some of the other stuff, it's just the routine, and I wanted to do this because I wouldn't say I feel great, but I realize little things like this is what brings the pulse back.
Yeah.
Because I've occasionally painted. This is a new painting. It's actually, this was an old one, but there was a blank spot, and it just kept screaming, put a manatee on it. Save the manatees.
Florida.
Yeah. But so, yeah, that's where I'm at with the podcast and stuff. But you've also had a lot of good and interesting things in the art world.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's kept you busy because...
I mean, there was that one day I don't know if we talked about it when we were podcasting last time, but I literally just... There was one day I woke up and I was like, man, I kind of just want to see how to get into a gallery. Mm-hmm. And I went down to St. Augustine and I just started asking... I just walked into galleries and I just started asking, how does one get into a gallery? Because I don't know how to get into a gallery.
Right. I mean...
And I just kept... I sat down with one guy, and he basically told me, he's like, this is mostly for paintings. I don't really have any photography that I would put up, but you should go talk to this guy. And then I went to go talk to that guy that literally was right around the corner, and then that guy led me to another guy, and then that guy led me to another guy, and then that kept going, and I think I went through, I don't know, like 5 or 6, and then one gallery I walked in. Sometimes you walk into a gallery, and it seems a little, I don't know, pretentious, if that makes sense.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah, I walked in, and I just was like looking around, and I saw that the lady that was sitting at the front desk was on her computer, and she was like, hi, how are you? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good, sweet, yeah. It's like, if you need help anything, let me know. And I'm like, okay. And I could tell you she just wasn't, I'm not going to buy something.
Yeah.
I think I was dressed in like this type of shirt.
Right.
Maybe even this exact shirt. And some like shorts.
Yeah.
And,
you weren't about to buy a $5,000
painting on the spot. And I was like, I'm not going to talk to her, ask her. And then I got a little bit closer, and I was like, I actually do have a question. Are you guys looking for like photographers or anything like that? She's like, no, but I heard that there's a gallery like just down the street that are looking for photographers. You should go check them out. And I did, and I literally walked in. I was like, hey, I heard you're looking for photographers. Like, yeah. Do you have a card or a website or something to look at your stuff? And yeah, and I just handed my card. I think it was 2, maybe 3 days later, they emailed me saying we'd love to have you in. And then me and you put my stuff up on the wall.
Which that was a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the experience of putting something up on the wall. Now, am I killing it at the gallery? No, I'm not selling a ton.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on a wall.
You're on a wall, and if anything, it's...
And it's sort of a learning experience.
I was about to say, significantly more about the process now.
Yeah,
than
before. I know now even more so that it's almost impossible to figure out what people want and what people like. I have no idea what people want and what people like. I'm literally at this point. When I first started, I thought I'm going to pick my favorite ones, or the ones I think people would like. nothing sold. And then I had all these, because I have my own printer. I make prints. So the audience doesn't. They don't know. I have my own printer, and I make my own prints from scratch. Well, not scratch the printer.
No, well, yeah, but right.
But
you're not placing orders or yeah.
But I have all these sort of throwaways, I call them, that I like. It's a little bit too dark, a little bit too light, not enough contrast or whatever. And I just decided to buy those like plastic wraps with like a cardboard back, and I just put them in there. And it's like $15, and then all of a sudden they started selling, and I'm like, huh? And then that's when I realized that most people they might really like an image or a painting or whatever, but sometimes they don't want to spend $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, $6,000 for a painting or a photo.
Yeah.
They'd rather just have a cheap print that they can just like put on the wall.
Yeah.
Or just have it there or something just to kind of like spice up the room.
Right.
And I've been meaning to want to make like postcards and smaller stuff like that, like $5-10 a pop. I haven't really yet, just because there's so many things that I'm trying to do and wanting to do that I'm having trouble focusing on just this or just this or just this. I'm trying to literally a little bit here, a little bit there.
Right.
And maybe I should focus in a little bit more on one thing.
I mean, that's maybe something though that it's just with the poses and stuff. Once you do that once, you'll be like, okay, that's how I do that.
Yeah. Well, like right after we film this, I have a photo shoot.
Yeah. Because that's what I was gonna say. Stuff like that is also important.
Yeah. And so
casting a wide net.
Yeah, and see what sticks and what doesn't. But then also, I say a lot, and I realize, but it's part of the conversation.
And I pet my beard like this.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you turn the camera back on, going like, "What am I doing?"
But I mean, I don't know. I think the last. I don't know, because you get to a certain point, and we've talked about this. We get to a certain point in your life, and you're like, okay, it's time to like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have to focus in, and especially at work, I started to get, okay, cool, let's see what happens at the job, and you start putting more care and more energy and more focus into the job you have at hand. So like, because you're now in management, and there's always that possibility of me even moving up.
Right.
And then I don't know, the last 2 or 3 months, you put so much, so much stress. You stress yourself so much to make everything. Like optimize everything, make everything efficient, and it doesn't seem like sometimes other people don't care, and you get really frustrated and really mad. And I just kind of like lost my shit for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it's also a thing that like when you give a shit and you try, like you said, they don't really care. Nothing really gets said.
And it makes you mad.
But the moment you go like, I can't emotionally function like this. Let me not care as much. Then all of a sudden they turn around the corner and then start.
Because it got
happened?
It got to the point where it felt like there was a pressure on my chest.
Yeah.
I'd wake up, go to work, and pressure on my chest. As soon as I left, I mean, I guess that's anxiety or stress.
Yeah.
It's not a tough job, but you care so much that you're wondering, why can't this other person or these other people care as much as I do, especially when you want things to run properly. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's impossible to know what someone's going through unless they just straight up tell you what they're going through.
That is true, yeah. Because there's some times where you'd be like, this is the laziest, uncomfortable person. And then you hear a little bit about their story and you're like, damn.
Yeah, maybe you should
I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say it was probably, like a couple weeks ago. I mean, I just 2-3 weeks ago. I there was like a 2-week span where I just anyone that said anything to me or questioned anything that I did, I was like, listen, just shut the fuck up and do your fucking job because I'm trying to make gold over here, and you're making it into a piece of shit.
Yeah,
dude, I think I cussed out. I think I cussed out like several managers to their face, several employees to their face. I was just like I made a change in the department I work at because I was just getting fed up with people complaining. This one person made a suggestion, like, it used to be like this. If you hear the AC, it's because it's Florida and it's like 90-something degrees outside.
Yeah, it's moist. I meant to bring over my paper towel to wipe my brow.
Yeah.
I'll just use the dogs.
Yeah, but I made this change, and in the beginning, I didn't tell anybody. I just made the change because I was just, this is going to be better. Mm-hmm. And half the people loved it, half the people hated it, and then there were some people that tell me, like, hey, we need you to change it back, and I said, cool, you do it.
I mean, it is fair, yeah.
It's like, you do it, because, and then, I don't know,
don't mess with the camera.
I think that's kind of a one thing
boop, boop. Yeah.
that when you, I guess when you erupt, and then you kind of just like it's hard to take a step back and just realize you need to take a step back. I take a step back, and I've been reading Jeremy. It's been taking me like forever to read it, but I've been slowly reading Jeremy Renner's memoir about how he almost died. Yeah. Which now it's even more crazy.
Because he did die. Oh wait, what's crazy?
According to the book, it said he believes that he actually did die. He had a near-death experience while he was lying in the snow, waiting for paramedics to come and pick him up and save him. But he had to. The book is called My Next Breath, and it's funny how when you're reading something, how at a certain time it's sort of kind of. It's like the book you needed to read right at the right moment. Yeah. Is it the greatest written book? No, he's not a writer, and he actually says that. He's like, I'm not a writer, but it's just raw and real, and sometimes you just need that. Yeah. And he had to manually breathe while all of his ribs were broken.
So like...
And it mentions that when he was a kid that he went to Lamaze. Is it Lamaze classes or whatever that thing?
For pregnancies?
Yeah, where you breathe.
Yeah.
Is it Lamaze?
If we're talking about like the pregnancy breathing stuff,
is that what it's? That's how it's pronounced.
I think so. Yeah.
Le Mans is the race. I know that. The Le Mans. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever.
11.
But he was mentioning how whenever he's in a stressful situation, he literally just focuses on his breath. And the last like week and a half, I've woken up because I take a shower right before I go to work, which I'm sure I wake you up all the time because your room's
Sometimes
right next
it depends.
to the
yeah. But it doesn't matter.
Room's right next to the bathroom, but I just started to focus on just breathing rather than, oh my God, I'm going to go into work.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been kind of working. That pressure on the chest is not there as much.
I should
if not at all.
In a similar way, I've done it because, I mean, I work right down the road, so I walk to work. But I'll be walking and I'll just be like, it's gonna be okay.
And if you tell yourself that,
because in my mind, like I'll build up this whole scenario of what I'm walking into, and usually I walk in and within 10 minutes, it's like, oh, it's fine. I don't know what I was freaking out about.
Yeah.
But sometimes there is. But yeah, I would say even with the breathing, because I remember Schwann said it once, though, when we were going to Mikey's funeral. He said, breathe in for 3, out for 2, or something like that. But just kind of like if you feel like you're about to absolutely lose it,
just breathe.
just
and it's been kind of working.
Yeah.
At least for me. And what's also what I also notice when I do breathe and I do focus more on my breath, I start realizing that I wear a mouth guard because I clench my teeth at night. I don't grind my teeth. I bite down really hard, I guess. And I've gone through the last since we've lived in the same roof. I think I've gone through 5 or 6 mouth guards. Just bit right through them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
what kind of dreams are you having?
I don't have as many dreams anymore because I usually wake up in the middle of the night to pee, which is not normal. Maybe that's just getting older.
Yeah.
But I started realizing at work when I am about to get angry and frustrated, I literally would just stop what I'm doing and I'm just breathing now, and I'm focusing on. I wrote in my journal that working is not something I love doing. Work to me it's like a chore. But I'm trying to view it in a different perspective now, where I think what I wrote was it's in service to my end goal and dreams.
Yeah.
So
that relieves a lot of
and it takes away from it takes that pressure of and so now that I view it that way, it's in service of what I ultimately want to do with my life. And I have even more so focused in exactly what I want, and now that I've kind of focused in exactly what I want, there's less pressure to achieve it, because it's going to get achieved because I'm working towards it. And I also think as I've gotten older, and I don't know if you have, I've when I was in my late teens, 20s, even into my early 30s, I was always putting the pressure on myself of it has to be done by this year at this time. If not, you're a failure. And I was so much stress that I wouldn't even attempt to do things sometimes. Now I'm more looking at it as the fun part is actually right now. It's the journey getting to the end. Yeah. Which the end might just be me dying.
For sure.
Which eventually
it's everybody's end. Yeah, at some point.
But yeah, it's kind of grim to look at it that way.
No, but it's true. It makes you appreciate things more if you keep that in mind.
I'm looking more towards having fun learning something, like learning something new, and using failure as a way. Oh, I just learned something, and having that childhood curiosity rather than I need to make a ton of money right now, because making a ton of money right now is the thing that takes the fun out of the thing that I'm doing right now. And so if you take it as I'm curious about this thing, let me learn it as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then there may be it might take me a month, it might take me a couple years, it might take me 20 years, I don't know. But once I have learned all that I think I can learn about that one thing, I want to learn something else. This morning, I'm shocked. I can even say this. Gone to film school, worked for all these different. I worked for a photography studio, media for a professional baseball team, all this stuff. I was taught how to use a light meter for one class at film school. I get the general idea of what a light meter is and kind of how to use it, but I don't really know how to use it. So I bought a light meter this morning.
Oh, really?
And I want to learn how to use how to use a light meter.
Now that's this is.
So if you,
I mean, I know you just said you don't know how to use it, but
so
right.
when we
really
did use
know.
it, essentially it's so if you have like let's say you want to shoot at like 125. The shutter speed like 125 and then like the ISO at like 800 or 400 or something like that. What does my f-stop have to be? Or I'm shooting at this f-stop, this shutter speed, what's my ISO got to be? So it tells you what settings to put on your camera.
Right. Is it the thing that's the little handheld thing?
Yeah.
That's like,
so it tells you exactly what needs to be on your camera in order to perfectly have the light perfect.
Okay, yeah.
And so,
I've seen those.
And
yeah,
so
I figured that's more
let's say
like
you
that.
want a little bit, and I watched a video this morning. It was like a 5-6 minute video. I forget the guy's name, but he's like a celebrity photographer, and he was saying, I want her face to be slightly darker on this side than that side. So I want this to. So he would meter for it slightly darker, slightly brighter on this side. So he's telling the light what he wants it to be in the camera, essentially.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's the next step in my, I guess, evolution is I gotta learn light better. And so I'm like, oh my god, I might think that I'm decent and pretty good at photography,
Right.
and I might be, but I also might not be.
I mean, that's
And so when I come to
the
the realization that I'm like, I'm maybe not that good, and I have a shit ton to learn. There's a shit ton of stuff to learn.
But you're right, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That it's like you'll only be better with that knowledge.
And I won't be bored. Because that's the worst feeling is
it's just
being
like,
bored.
Click, click, click.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, not that gets boring. I mean, that's
But
the
I mean, like,
exciting
no,
part
sitting
as well.
on a couch getting bored.
Yeah.
And so there's stuff to learn, and I've been picking up the Men with No Names again and working it with a little bit, and I kind of want to turn it into something, and I want to put it into film festivals. I still want, I was thinking about the other day, I still want my dad to do the drums.
Oh, yeah.
Just play a simple drum.
Just basically, yeah.
With now with drumsticks, what are those? I don't know what they're called. The things where they're like almost
The
like
metal,
brushes.
the
They're
metal brushes kind of things.
Yeah, they're like
It's
brushes where they like rub the thing and.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and so my dad has those. He still has the drum set, and I just kind of want to go back home. I don't know, for like a week or like maybe like 3 or 4 days or something, and just hang out with my dad while he jams. And then there's my musical score.
That would work perfectly for what you've described trying to go for. Yeah,
I want to go as basic as possible. It seems like I'm talking all this time. What about you?
Oh, I mean, I'm just happy to be here. This is a big win for me to come out of my room and.
It looks like I'm hunched over.
Well, this dog is giving me some. Usually, I'm grilling up on the table. Yeah, no, I've just been working a lot. Yeah, nothing to brag about. I wish I wasn't as nothing that I would want to brag about. I mean, the job is good, and there's opportunities in the future, but that is one of those things that, kind of like what you said with your job, kind of the job being in service to what you want from the future.
Yeah.
There are moments where that kind of thought does cross my mind, and it does relieve the tension, but I do kind of miss when I was acting or painting, or even when I was working at the other company now. That was a mess itself, and that whole company I don't like, and the jobs are. I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to say any names or talk about it because I don't need a letter popping up. But I'm sure at some point I signed something. But I do miss having that thing of being like I can tell people I'm a painter. I mean, I paint, not as regularly anymore. And even like the occasional acting, or when I was doing stand-up here and there, like even just doing those once, then I could go to work and say, oh yeah, I did that. I do it sometimes, ba-da-da-da-da-da. And it always kind of felt like, I'm here with you guys.
Yeah.
But this ain't forever. This is who I am. This isn't all I am. Now it's kind of all embodied, but with this store, it's so crazy, not in the worst way, and it's actually a very family. The job itself is actually not that bad, but it's almost like the team is so much of a family that the drama is
Keep
what.
talking. I'm gonna move the camera over a little bit.
Okay.
Continue. Yeah.
That it's almost like I'm letting other people's lives and dramas, like, I'm not saying I'm an empath, but you know how people talk about like they take on the energy of other people, or like they're like, I feel your stress and like blah, blah, blah. I do feel like maybe it's autism, maybe it's just something, but when things are getting a little bogus, I do kind of, I don't know, sometimes I'll get told this or that about different things, and it's like, I wish you just didn't tell me that until it was like a reality, or like I don't like really hearing rumors. Like gossiping's kind of fun when you know something happened. Gossiping is a normal thing. I don't try to do ill gossip, but yeah, I mean, just with this podcast, or even when we went to the zoo the other day, that was even something for me that I was like, I want to be around animals more.
Like that.
Like this little twisted up. She's like an S right now.
she's like contorted.
But she's comfortable.
Dude, she is totally. She's. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, it kind of felt like on Saturday, just the right little things happened here and there that I was like, oh, I gotta be happy again. Oh, like, just kind of like what makes me feel fuller rather than worrying and stuff, because I will say I kind of like abandoned everything, and I was just kind of like, well, I need this job. I was over there, car situations. I ended up over here, and it really was just pretty much from November, just kind of like just like, I'm like, I'm alive. I go to work. I'm not dead. And that doesn't do anything good, and it kind of feels like wasted time. But just like little moments of like, you got to hold on tight, because some people let go and just die, and it might hurt in the sense of not letting go, of like acknowledging what you're not happy about and things like that. Like, that's very stressful to be aware of. Like, I know this isn't right. I know this isn't right. I know I don't like this. I don't like this path. But you can just kind of ignore that and just, I mean, everybody knows. Everybody's a little bit that.
Well, you're trying almost to create like an illusion to yourself.
Of like, yeah, no, this job's fine. And then that's when you have, I mean, I know some people go to an office, some people clock in online and, do stuff like that. We work a little bit of retail.
Some people go around Earth on the space station.
Well, they do, yeah. Hey, if I'm in space, I just want to survive. But I do feel like when you start pushing everything away and just trying to like not complain, if you hold everything back, that's how you get somebody who's just like, why the fuck is this box open?
Yeah.
You only took one thing out? Which, if that's something somebody's always doing, it can be annoying. But like, in so many jobs, I feel like there's so many trivial things that you can be like, hey, why are we wasting time not just doing it?
Yeah.
Like it's...
You make every excuse to not do it.
If it's retail, it comes in, you put it where it's supposed to go, you hope it sells. If it's something with a shelf life, you go, oops, we ordered wrong, you correct. You just, it doesn't have to be, problems happen.
Well,
but you got to save that freaking out for when the problems happen.
And
usually there's not that many problems.
I've even come to terms with it's impossible to you can't control the things you can't control. You can only control what you can control, which essentially is just what you're doing at that time.
Yeah, or even I'm a big failure at it. No, but that's the way to be honest about it. But it's like it's not always your fault what happens to you or what happens, but it is your fault how you react to it.
Yeah.
And that's something I always kind of like. And I guess even the past couple months, I've been pretty depressed in just the sense of looking back on everything and just being like, I reacted so poorly so many times. Horrible things.
Yeah.
But I could even be like, if I would have, I feel like I'm always on this up and down. I don't know if it's bipolar. I don't know what it is. But I will have moments where I was, get back into reading self-help books and reading different philosophies and learning things. And it's like what you said, not being bored.
Yeah.
When you start going, like, I used to always...
Being bored is a very depressing feeling.
Yeah, and then
I get super depressed when I'm bored.
And people do stupid shit when they get bored. Because you can be depressed for a week, and then all of a sudden there's like this instance where you're like, I am so bored, let me make a horrible fucking decision so I feel something.
So you can react to
it. Yeah. But like you said, with like even the little lighting thing, you give yourself something. I mean, I bought, this was weeks ago now, but with that sense, I bought some yarn and a crochet thing because I was like,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can learn this. I can make it. But then when I work for 10, 11 hours and I come home,
you're exhausted.
It might be great to just sit down there and learn. But I usually go to bed or take a nap.
Yeah.
Then I wake up at 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. or something. I'm awake for 2 more hours because I'm like, oh, well, shit. Okay, well, I'll watch this, whatever, go back to bed a couple more hours before I go back into work. Hell, even in the middle of the night, I could be crocheting. I'm not saying crocheting's my goal.
But it's something.
But little things like that.
You're learning. Well, and that goes back to like me with like wanting to learn new things. There's so much to learn. Like
It's literally
when I'm 50, I could
almost probably an unlimited thing to learn.
Pretty much unlimited.
Because if you feel like you've learned everything that exists in the world, that's what science is. You know what I mean?
Just looking outside, you could learn how to properly cut grass or how to properly take care of grass, or you can learn how to...
Is this saw grass or is this,
learn how to make one of those like stands that for canvases. Easels, yeah. Or how to make a chair, or be like Daniel Day-Lewis and be a cobbler.
Cobbler who's just like, well, I did one movie.
And I gotta make my shoes. And disappear.
Does he sell them?
I I would think he's got to make a living somehow.
I mean, when you're a multiple Oscar-winning actor, I don't think it needs to make a living.
Yeah, but that just
maybe
being,
he gives them away.
I think being, I think what I miss a lot of the times, and I realize this, is that I miss, and I think everyone misses their childhood or like the time where they grew up because they think their era was the best era. Mm-hmm. Like the people that are younger than us, like 10, 15 years younger than us, they think this time is the best time. Mm-hmm. We think the 90s was the best time.
Right.
Because we grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Our parents might think the 90s were horrible. Like it's funny how that is.
Yeah.
Where you grow up, like your era is the best era.
Well, it's because and it's when you were discovering things. You know, you started liking things for the first time.
Yeah, and what I miss as a kid, what I miss now that I love, I used to watch. I watch a movie a day, maybe sometimes 2 a day.
Yeah.
And I might watch a movie every other week. Mm-hmm. Maybe once a month. And I hate that. I love going to movies. I love watching movies on TV.
Yeah.
There's just so much I want to learn right now that it's not there. And I still, again,
I'm gonna put you down.
the goal is ultimately still to make movies. And when I was younger, it was I'm going to be the next James Cameron or Spielberg or Ridley Scott or Christopher Nolan or whatever it may be. Now it's like, dude, I just want to make movies. I don't care if people.
It's just I enjoy doing it.
I enjoy doing it, or I like taking photos. Because the first time there are times where we went to me and Teresa, my wife, we went to Savannah, Georgia. What was it, last weekend or was it 2 weekends ago? 2 weekends ago? Last weekend? I don't remember. But
today's Wednesday, so it wouldn't have been last weekend, as in
not this past weekend, but the weekend before.
Probably.
But I was taking pictures in Savannah. That was the first time I was taking
Double take. Ripley getting in there.
She's cleaning herself. But that was the first time I just went out and took pictures, just to take pictures. And now part of it was I was taking pictures because I could use these for the gallery. But when I do stuff like that, the magic isn't there. Do you know what I mean? You're doing it. You're doing it for something rather than just doing it for yourself.
Yeah. It's like the Rick Rubin.
The things that have sold at the gallery was when I just went and because I put music on, and there'll be times I don't even take a picture for like an hour, sometimes 2 hours. I'll just listen to music, and then all of a sudden I see one thing and I take a picture and I just don't stop for like 3 or 4 hours. And I look at the clock, I'm like, I've been walking around for 5 hours and I've walked about 10, 11 miles.
Yeah.
I think it's time I should call it a day.
Oh, right.
And that's my best work. But when I that's kind of cool, click, and there's there's nothing behind it. It's just a stale image to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's even like with some.
I wish the Savannah photography trip would have went a little bit better. But I got a couple of good ones, but it wasn't. I think it's one of those things where everyone has something where when you're doing it, you just everyone get away.
Oh yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And I think taking photos is that for me.
This is my me time.
Yeah, get away.
Yeah.
Because I always say it's my therapy.
No, but it's true because there's not many things that.
Because you're not thinking.
Yeah, it's like you're put in a trance. I was gonna say it's a weird thing though. Like you don't need drugs or any substances, but it's a completely mental switch.
Time slows down.
You're like locked in, everything kind of, you're like, boo, 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 boo. But then the moment somebody's like, hey, look at this. And it's like, yeah, but I'm wondering what this butterfly's thinking. It's,
click.
Yeah. That it's hard meshing minds or letting people into that form of work, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you can have, sometimes it's a blast. Like when we went to the plantation. Sounds rough saying.
Kingsley, I think it's Kingsley Plantation.
Yeah, but that was a really fun time shooting stuff together.
Well, that's it. That was an exploratory thing.
Yeah,
and sometimes there's like
exploring
2-3 minutes
with a camera around.
Yeah, and you're with someone, but there's 2 or 3 minute pockets where you kind of do get lost.
Yeah, and
then click. Because I'm sure because you had my other camera, and I'm sure there were moments where you just kind of like, hold on.
Yeah. It's like I see this or see that or. Hey, fucker, get out of the way.
there were moments where we just sort of stopped at a location. You went off for 5 minutes, I went off for 5 minutes, and then we came back. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, so I know, I just need to, I'm messaging a friend this morning, but just kind of checking in how things were doing, and they asked like, are things finally kind of hitting an upswing? And I was like, no, but I feel like a switch is flipped where I realize like I've been fortunate in my life. I also feel like borderline, I'd say fortunate and cursed. But there's been a lot of bad things. But there's also been like really magical random moments and good things that have happened that I don't think I really learned how to create my own moments. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as in, things would happen around, I'd be asked to do things, or
Like
I would just
you happen to be in the right
happen
place,
to be there and happen to be not the worst person in the room.
Yeah.
And then that turned into this, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that.
Did something and it
things
led
kind of
somewhere.
snuck away, but it was always kind of like, I mean, there's been things I've auditioned for, but even a lot of stuff acting-wise, now I haven't hit the pavement running on acting, and I don't know if I ever will. I don't even know if I want to. I enjoy it. But yeah, I think feel like the paper plane has like landed, or like spaceship or something, and I've like kind of realized like, I have to make big boy choices, and I have to tell myself, go paint. Ask if somebody wants to go do this, or like, not just wait for things to come.
Yeah.
Which is such a typical, generic thing to mention, but that's kind of where I
Well, even I did that.
Yeah.
Waiting, like I did that, and it went from one thing to another to another to another. Because when I first moved to Los Angeles, I guess you could say I was working on our movie, and trying to get, because I didn't have a job when we moved there. I saved up a bunch of money so I didn't have to work. I thought it was going to be a year worth of money. It turned out to be like 5 months worth of money. And it did not turn out at all. I didn't realize. And I think that's something that you have to experience, because there's certain things you just have to experience, and that's how you learn. But I was trying to get on all these different sets, trying to get on all these different jobs. I took a bunch of jobs for free. And I got a job within like 2 weeks when I moved there on a short film with a fairly well-known actress. She wrote and directed this short film for this
the comedy thing?
The comedy special. And I found out, like, I think her husband was the head of the music. He did all the music for all the TV shows for like NBC or something like that. I forget. He was kind of a hotshot, and he actually was a really nice guy. He came on. He bought I think he bought people like bagels and stuff like that. He's a really nice guy.
Right.
It was a really really fun experience. Now it felt exactly like what it was when I went to DePaul, where it just seemed.
She got hair all over.
She does all that. Where it seemed generic, and like, this is, I've done this already. Like, there's got to be something more special than this. There's got to. I know when people say when people are making like Alien, they were on set and they thought it was like a B. I think it was an interview, because I have the DVD, and all the actors I think were talking about how it's just kind of like a more high-end B movie. It's not going to be a huge deal. It'd be a fun experience. And then like within a week, they're like, "Oh no, this is like a big deal. We're on a big movie," and they just knew it right away. I thought that's what I was going to experience.
Yeah.
And so, all those jobs initially that I got weren't what I thought.
Like disheartening.
Yeah,
that's what's hard, because it's especially when you get a little taste here and there of like, ooh, that's magic.
Yeah.
But that's like something like Alien.
Yeah.
There's millions of straight to DVD, sci-fi movies, all that stuff. That's why it's rare.
But
So it's kind of but it's putting the work in.
I guess back to your point where you're talking about waiting. I started to be very selective what I picked. I was like, which in a sense might be a good thing, also might be a bad thing because there are times like
it's like a gamble.
I'm not taking this job because I have a feeling that this person's going to take advantage of me.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, you know what? And then I just stopped and I was just waiting for the big one to come.
Mm-hmm.
And time just kept going on. I kept working, and then I was getting further and further away from what I moved there for. And do I regret anything that I've done? No. Do I wish I would have done things differently? Yes. I would not have known that unless I went through the experiences I went through. So I don't regret anything.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be here where I am without experiencing that. But I do wish that I had more of a carefree mentality of, well, you got to pay rent or this. I wish I would have been more, well, I got a car. I can sleep in the back.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I also don't.
Right. And there's also a lot of people who...
I also was with my wife. I don't want to put her through...
No, right. But it's exactly... Yeah. And I guess that's kind of... kind of what I was saying of like... not the waiting part, but like making your opportunities. And like, unfortunately, it almost doesn't matter how much free time or anything you have if I don't know, everybody's deck is just different cards and different things. And I almost even feel like how you said you wouldn't have had those thoughts if you didn't go through what you went through. I even, in the midst of this insanity with my job, there is like a little thing in me that it's like, if I can pull this back together, I was like, I feel like I can be shamanistic. Because if it's almost like I've been completely deconstructed by myself, by the world, whatever. I mainly blame myself, or more taking responsibility for myself. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but definitely, I guess like you said, enjoy the process.
It's such a simple...
That's what I'm realizing, that it's like
It's such a simple thing to say, and like I don't want to say within
it's
like
generic, but you never know.
I don't want to say
people say it all the time for a reason.
I don't want to say within like a week and a half span I've figured it out. Because I think you're constantly always figuring it out. But I want to. I shouldn't say want. I'm again like going back to like the breathing aspect of things. I am learning just to slow things down, and instead of having a rush of things just go through me, just slow down and process what's important, what's not important, what deserves my time, what doesn't deserve my time, and concern yourself with the things that you can control with rather than the things that you can't control with, or trying to convince or control other people in a certain way that, hey, this will be better if you do this. Because you're not going to. Either the person will listen to you and they'll do what you say, or they'll be, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm doing it my way. And then tension. That's where tension happens. And sometimes you have one job. That person has one job. And if you do your job well, I mean, yeah, you'll meet in the crosshairs, but ultimately you do both your jobs. clock in, clock out, go home, you're happy.
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, don't put your shit here. Hey, don't you put your shit here. Oh, I can't stand that guy. Oh, this person sucks. And then, I've gotten to the point now where when people talk bad about people, change the subject. When people talk about politics, change the subject. When people hate on someone or talk ill about someone, I change the subject. All I really want to concern myself with, maybe I'm starting to turn that turn that page to where my focus is so on my dreams and goals and ambitions that I'm turning off not others, because in the past I've said I've had to turn people off.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily turning people off now. I think what I'm trying to do, or at least I'm starting to realize, is that I'm turning the noise down. I'm just turning it down. I'm not turning it off. Because turning it off, you're isolating yourself.
And you're
just turning.
You don't want to be RoboCop.
You're turning it down so that you can hear yourself, or not even necessarily hear yourself, because sometimes yourself is your worst enemy. You're literally So you're literally.
You gotta let some people in to carry you home sometimes.
You're just turning down the volume so that you can just look out and see the world. I think that's what I'm trying to do right now. Is I'm just so that I can just look and see, and just focus in on one thing. Because if you really do, I mean, you put your phone down, or you step away from the TV or whatever that is a way of occupying your brain with stuff. You realize, you start looking at the clock, you're like, wow, it's only, right now it's 10:58. I got 3 hours to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I technically got 2. I got to go.
Well, right, yeah.
Yeah, 2, but I got 2 hours to do something.
Yeah.
We're doing a podcast. We're going to do that before I have this photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I'm done with the photo shoot, I can edit this.
Yeah, and keep the ball rolling. Well, that's even something, like I said, my big win of the day is doing this podcast with you. But also, like you, I forget when we were just messaging about when to do it, and I was like, it's going to be a long day. But like, let's definitely do it today, just because we have the time. I mean, we could have done it tomorrow.
We technically could do another one tomorrow, just to do another one tomorrow.
Yeah, we could. But I knew, I was like, no, tomorrow morning, we do it. Because there's time, and like...
And you have to make time. That's what I'm starting to learn. There's certain things that you really want to do. You have to actually go out of your way to make time.
Yeah.
Because there's so many excuses that you could just make. I've got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. No, you have plenty of time. You just have to set it aside.
Yeah, you have to set it aside, respect it, respect your desire to do that, respect whatever it is that you're trying to plan.
And make others know that I need to do this.
Like this is,
But then after, we can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I need to get back into yoga, because that's what I was thinking. I used to say that when I lived in Orlando, when I lived with my brother and stuff, and we had friends, and we, they might hit us up and be like, hey, you want to go see this movie or go here? And be like, yeah, like give me 40 minutes. I want to do my yoga and meditate. And they'd be like, come on, you don't have to do it today or whatever. And I'd be like, no, I need to meditate and do my yoga.
Yeah. And I'm starting to notice too, I mean, maybe the breathing is a form of meditation.
It is, 1,000%, yeah.
I'm starting to realize how important that is now, that you have to, I personally have to do that, or I lose my shit.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I have to meditate, because then I have to focus in exactly on what is important for today and not lose focus and sight of what I'm trying to accomplish that day. Because again, you accomplish little things here and there over the span of a lifetime, you will achieve everything that you have set out. The things that you want to do takes time.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. And now that's another thing I'm starting to realize too, that I thought it was going to be.
And it could, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
if you're
the
not,
longevity won't be there.
If you're not available for the opportunity. Yeah, if you're not
if
there.
you got a flash in the pan, that's why it's so unfair when people get instant success, instant fame right away.
Mm.
Because when you're thrown into it, you're a flash in the pan. Like you struck a chord and everyone heard it. Okay, what's your next chord? And they have nothing because they haven't put in the years of work of I actually have,
like keep going.
I have all of this stuff. You just
Yeah.
you just discovered one thing. I have thousands of things. Whereas the people that have the flash in the pan, they got that one thing. Okay, what's the next thing? And then they get that pressure of like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then they disappear.
Yeah.
You never see them again.
They I saw, I don't know what interview it was or podcast or something, and it's not the first time it's been said, but I saw a clip this morning. Seth Rogen, he's just making a point, but he's like, if you don't quit, he's like, if you don't quit, you might make it.
Yeah.
If you do quit, you definitely won't.
Yeah.
And
you never know.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing.
But
not
just like
even
the kind of way he said it, it's just like,
not even attempting.
it may never happen, but it's definitely, I mean, it's the same fucking quote as in you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Wayne Gretzky I think it was Wayne Gretzky. Was that Wayne Gretzky? Michael Jordan? It's one of the.
I was going to guess Michael Jordan, but it's
one
probably post, yeah.
Yeah, so if you look at baseball, my dad always told me that the difference between a Hall of Fame baseball player and a non-Hall of Fame baseball player is a Hall of Fame baseball player fails only 700% of the time, or 70% of the time. They bat 300. And people that don't make Hall of Fame fail even more. So they fail 70% of the time, but they're considered one of the best. And
right, like because everybody's gonna fail.
Yeah,
You're gonna
usually,
fail.
I mean, it's not guaranteed, but if you bat 300% for your entire career, odds are you have a fairly good chance of making the Hall of Fame because not many people can do it.
Right, I was about to say that sounds pretty successful.
In basketball, if you make 50% of your shots, you miss half of the shots you take.
Right, but it's still.
Yeah.
I mean, depending position. Yeah. That's a whole sport breakdown, but yeah.
I mean, you fail way more than you succeed, and I will admit that I was afraid of failing, and I think everyone always works on fear of failure and everything like that. But I guess you sort of, okay, this could fail, but it's okay. I'm not gonna die. And just get back on and do something else, or do it again, or learn from what you did and try something else. And I honestly think, really, at least for me, what it all comes down to is that fear of failure and the fear that you're not good enough prevents you from even attempting to go do it.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
there are moments, and this what sucks is there were moments in film school where I was so naive. I had no idea what I was doing when the first few classes, and I just did something that felt right, and it turned out okay. Mm-hmm. And then when I did something out of fear, where I was like, are they going to like this?
And it's just can end up like a mess.
It's a train wreck.
Right.
Rather than, let's just try shit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes trying shit is actually more successful than just either doing the same thing over and over again, or trying to figure out what I should do, and then that goes back into your own worst enemy. You're just overthinking it.
Yeah.
And when you overthink things,
It's exactly like my paintings and stuff. Yeah, when I started, it just all came naturally because I wasn't a painter. And I had music on.
like
I
you're
was
doodling.
I was just enjoying it and they came naturally. I mean, some of them are still like my better ones. And then, yeah, the moment you start talking to other painters and arts and kind of hearing artists and hearing critiques and this and that, and you start putting all this like thought in. It's like what you said. There's kind of like a fear and it doesn't
locks you
flow,
up.
and then you end up with a giant turd, and you're like that. That brought me no joy, and it does not make me happy when I look at it.
It's painful because you're like, I put all that work in and I didn't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that everything has to be enjoyed. I mean, sometimes you gotta just.
I mean, I was just so happy
just to get the
to
manatee.
make the manatee.
Yeah.
Like, and when I finished it, it was just like, manatee. I was happy, and I don't think it's a great painting or anything.
It's like a 5-year-old getting a scratch and stiff sticker.
Yeah.
Like,
They got them all over their face. And just, but I would say, you know the acronym KISS?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's about.
Usually simple is the best
Is it
way.
something that feels good, feels right? Keep it simple. Give it a go.
Yeah.
I think that's about an hour right there. Just over.
And I think that was a good way to end it.
I think so. And namaste. We did it.
There we go.
Fuck, it's not recording. How many times has that joke been made? Just in the world.